Okay, let's look at this one here. Now, notice that so what I've suggested in the past that maybe we'll use this model, cosine b times x minus c plus d. Okay, that's the model that we could use. And the reason this model might be the easiest or the easier of the two, instead of sine, might be easier is because we can see clearly where the max occurs. See, it occurs here at x equals 2. And with cosine, we know the max usually, the normal, just for a graph of cosine, we know that there's a max at x equals 0. So this indicates a horizontal shift, which will tell us what c is. But anyway, we'll come to that in a minute. But that's why I'm maybe suggesting cosine here. But there's an infinite number of choices for how you could model this particular graph. Now, one of the things you notice that makes this one easier than some of those that we may have looked at in the past, you can clearly see that d is 0, right? Because this thing oscillates between -2 and 2. And the amplitude, for that reason, is 2. So right away, we could say, that's going to be 2 cosine something. And d is, it's on the end there. It's just going to be 0. Now remember, typically d would be the average, y min plus y max over 2. And then a would be d minus, or y max minus d. If you're just looking for some kind of formula. But you can see here, and we could do that here. 2 minus 0 is 2. So here's what we've got. We've got 2 cosine. Now, as far as b goes, since we're looking at an interval between 0 and 2 pi, since I said that up here, you can just see how many cycles go through between 0 and 2 pi. And you can find that just by counting the high points. See, there's 1, 2, 3. Or down here, you could count the low points. 1, 2, 3. And that tells you how many cycles there are in a 2 pi interval. In this case, there are 3, so that's 3. Now, as far as c, well, that's where the max occurs. X equals 2, so it's x minus 2. There, we're done. So this right here is one particular model that describes this graph. Okay, let's give this one a go. Now, what we want to be able to do, we don't want to get in the situation where we start to get bogged down in trying to come up with a model for these. The idea is you can look at this and immediately you can see that d is 0. It doesn't have a vertical shift, a rigid vertical shift. It's been stretched a bit, so the amplitude is 2. So immediately we say, okay, this is 2 cosine. Let's see here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 humps, right? A max occurs at 0.513. And we're done. See? So there's a model that describes this. Now, like I say, there's infinite models, infinitely many models that would describe this graph. But we're looking at this, and a simple one is just what we've done here. See, we've got these ready-made little structures of sine and cosine. And all we have to do is find the specific parts, the A, the B, the C, and the D.